It started with a phone call I almost didn't answer. I was in the kitchen cutting cucumbers for Brian's favorite salad when the phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, and these days, if it isn't one of the kids or the doctor's office, I usually let it go to voicemail. But something made me pick up. "Hello?" I said, wiping my hands on a towel. There was a pause. Then a woman's voice. Calm, controlled, older. "Is this Susan?" "Yes, this is she." Another pause. Then 5 words that rearranged my entire life. "You think you're his partner?" Another breath. Then, "But you're just invisible, like I used to be." Before I could respond, before I could even say, "Who is this?" the line went dead. I stood there, phone in one hand, paring knife in the other, like I had just been slapped and didn't know from which direction it came. The silence after she hung up rang louder than anything I'd ever heard. Brian walked in 5 minutes later, as cheerful as ever. "Hey babe, smells good. Do we have any of that white wine I like?" I nodded automatically, poured the glass, plated the food, sat across from him like I had for the last 20 years. He talked about his golf game, a neighbor's new car, his dentist appointment. I watched his lips move, but I didn't hear anything. My mind was stuck on that voice. "You think you're his partner, but you're just invisible." After dinner, while Brian watched the news, I sat on the porch swing and tried to breathe. I knew who she was now. Margaret, his ex-wife. I'd only met her once at a family event, briefly. She didn't say much. She had that polite, frozen smile women wear when they're supposed to be civil but would rather be anywhere else. Brian always said she was rigid, cold, joyless. That she never made him feel appreciated. That he only felt free after their divorce. So why did she call me? And why? Did her words feel like a punch of truth? Later that night, I sat in bed while Brian snored softly beside me, and I thought about us. About the way we moved around each other. Effortlessly, silently, predictably. I remembered when we first Meath called me, easy to be with. He said he loved how I didn't need much. "I'm just tired of drama," he told me on our third date. "I just want peace." At the time, I took it as a compliment. Peace sounded lovely. But peace, I realized now, is not the same as presence. And in this marriage, I had become excellent at being absent. I thought about the last time Brian asked me what I wanted. A vacation? A class? A dream? A fear? I couldn't remember. I thought about our anniversary last year. He bought me a necklace, beautiful but impersonal, and I'd smiled like always. Grateful, pleasant, easy. And suddenly I wondered if Margaret hadn't been warning me at all. Maybe she was simply reaching across time, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder and saying, "He made me feel invisible too, and I don't want it to happen to you." The next morning, I found an old photo album. Inside were pictures of me and Brian from the early years dinners, family vacations, birthdays. I flipped through, looking for something. Anything that showed me shining. But every photo was the same. Brian at the center. Me smiling at him. Me standing behind him. Me holding the camera. Never once did I look like I belonged to the moment. I always looked like someone adjacent to it. Like the wallpaper of my own life. I didn't confront Brian that day. I didn't scream, or cry, or accuse. Instead, I went into the one room in the house Brian said was his space, and opened the drawer he always kept locked. The key had been taped to the underside of the desk for years. I'd never used it. I'd never had a reason to. But now, I needed answers. Inside were folders, documents, envelopes, personal papers. And on top, a small navy blue file labeled in fine print. M. K. Private. My fingers trembled as I reached for it. Inside were letters, financial papers, something that looked like a medical form. I didn't have time to read them all, because just then I heard Brian's footsteps behind me. He stopped at the door. His voice was quiet, but his tone, icy. "What are you doing in my drawer, Susan?" I turned around, file in hand. And for the first time in our 20-year marriage, I didn't answer with an apology. I looked him in the eye and said, "I'm trying to find out if I'm real, or if I've just been your background this whole time." He opened his mouth to respond, but I was already walking past him. Not leaving. Not yet. But no longer invisible. Have you ever questioned whether you're truly seen by the one beside you? Or have you ever been someone's peace at the cost of your own voice? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to see what Susan finds in that mysterious file. Her world is about to change. Brian didn't yell. He didn't grab the file from my hand. He just stood there, in the doorway of his precious den, like a king whose subject had wandered into the throne room without permission. "Susan," he said slowly, "that drawer is private." "And this marriage?" I asked, holding the file up slightly. "Was that private too?" He sighed like he was the one who had been wronged. "We've always respected boundaries." "No," I said, my voice steady. "I respected silence, and you took full advantage of that." He walked away without another word. I sat down at the desk and began to read. The file was filled with paperwork, neatly labeled, chronologically organized. Some of it was financial investments, bank accounts, a property I didn't even know he owned. All in his name. Then came the health records. Brian had been diagnosed with a heart condition 3 years ago. He'd been seeing a cardiologist in another city, claiming he was visiting friends or at a retreat. No mention to me, no invitation to come with him, no shared concern. Just silence, and buried at the bottom, a printed email draft. From Brian. Never sent. To someone listed only as C. "Susan is easy, gentle. She lets me be who I am without conflict. She doesn't ask questions. Margaret was fire, Susan is fog." I breathe easier now. I stared at those words, and something inside me twisted not from betrayal, but from recognition. Fog. That's exactly what I'd become. Soft, quiet, dissolvable. I closed the file and left it on the kitchen counter. No dramatic gesture, just a silent return. Brian saw it hours later. He said nothing. Neither did I. But something between us had shifted. Permanently. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror and stared at myself longer than I had in years. 63. Gray roots. Laugh lines. Soft eyes. Stillness in my shoulders that had once been fire. "Who told you stillness was love?" I whispered. The answer came like a ghost. "Margaret. You think you're his partner, but you're just invisible." Just like I was. I opened my laptop and searched her name. It didn't take long. She'd published a blog years ago, abandoned now, but still live. Its name? The Art of Disappearing in a Marriage. I read every post. They weren't angry. They weren't bitter. They were quiet, precise, devastating. She wrote about how Brian praised her when she was silent, how he dismissed her concerns as emotional, how every argument ended with her apologizing for having a need, and how, eventually, she stopped having needs altogether. I read her words like they were underlined by my own heartbeat. This wasn't a different story. It was my story, just earlier in the timeline. The only difference? She left, and I stayed. That night, after Brian went to bed, I poured a glass of wine and wrote Margaret an email. Just one sentence. "You were right." I didn't expect a response. But I sent it anyway. A whisper across time. From one invisible woman to the one who warned her. 2 days later, she replied. "I didn't call to cause pain. I called because I knew he was repeating the pattern, and I thought you deserved to know before you disappeared like I did." Then another line. "He doesn't scream, he doesn't hit. He just creates a life where you quietly stop existing." I cried not because I was hurt, but because I finally had words for the ache I had been carrying. Not heartbreak. Erasure. The next morning, I told Brian I was going to stay with my sister for a few days. He looked up from his paper, surprised but unbothered. Everything okay? I don't know, I said, but I need space to find out. He nodded. Take whatever time you need. No protest. No concern. No, please don't go. And in that silence, I found my answer. As I packed, I came across my old journal buried behind decades of other people's priorities. I opened to a blank page, and I wrote, I thought I was loved because I was peaceful, but I was just tolerated because I stayed small. And I don't want to be small anymore. I closed the suitcase, locked the house behind me, and for the first time in 20 years, I didn't leave a note. Because no one had been listening anyway. Susan arrives at her sister's house. There's a letter waiting for her. From Margaret. Inside is a short message. And something else? A photo of Brian with another woman, dated 5 years ago. The caption on the back reads, He calls us peaceful, but I think he just likes women who stay quiet. I didn't recognize the woman in the photo. She looked younger than me, maybe early 50s, with soft brown hair and kind eyes. She was laughing at something Brian had just said, her hand gently resting on his arm. They were sitting at a cafe, casual, intimate, too familiar to be just a friend. The photo wasn't grainy, it wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. And the timestamp on the back? 5 years ago. When Brian had told me he was in Palm Springs for a men's wellness retreat. Margaret's note was written in blue ink, delicate but sharp. This isn't about cheating, not in the traditional sense. He doesn't fall in love with women. He falls in love with how much space they give him. I thought you deserved to see what he fills that space with. I stared at the photo until the colors blurred. Not because of jealousy, but because of clarity. It wasn't another affair I feared. It was the realization that I had never been in the frame. My sister, Laura, sat across from me at the kitchen table, silent. She didn't ask questions. She just waited. I finally spoke. He called me peaceful. Laura raised an eyebrow. You always hated that word. I didn't at first, I whispered. It felt like a compliment, like I was easy to love. She leaned forward. Susan, you were never meant to be easy to love. You were meant to be real, and real isn't always quiet. I nodded, tears blurring again. This time from remembering who I used to be. That night, I reread the email Margaret had sent. One line stood out. I left quietly. I thought that was the noble thing to do. But silence is not the same as dignity. And disappearing isn't justice. It's delay. I knew then I couldn't just slip away like she did. I had to show up. For myself. For every woman who'd ever mistaken quiet for peace. I returned home the next morning. Brian was in the kitchen, pouring his coffee like nothing had changed. He looked up, surprised. You're back already? I placed the photo on the table. He stared at it, blinked once, then said calmly, That was years ago. 5, I replied. Were you with her before or after you told me I was everything you'd ever wanted? He didn't answer. He didn't deny. He just set down his mug and said, I never meant to hurt you, Susan. You've always been easy. There it was again. Easy. My rage didn't erupt. It simmered. I was never meant to be easy, Brian, I said. I was meant to be loved out loud. That night, I didn't sleep in our bedroom. I sat in the Denny's sanctuary and opened my journal again. I don't want to be chosen because I'm convenient. I want to be seen because I'm undeniable. I wrote until the sun came up. And for the first time in decades, my words weren't careful. They were loud. The next day, I called a lawyer. Not because I was ready for divorce, but because I wanted a clear look at what was mine and what had never been. Finances, assets, accounts I wasn't even aware of. The lawyer nodded, took notes, and said softly, You'd be surprised how many women come in after 30 years and realize they were never actually partners. I wasn't surprised. I was furious. At myself. At him. At how easy it had been to disappear while still standing in plain sight. On the way home, I passed by the community center and saw a flyer on the bulletin board. Writing workshop for women 60 you own. Theme: reclaiming the narrative. I ripped the tab off at the bottom and shoved it into my purse. Not because I planned to go, but because something in me hoped I would. Back at home, Brian was on the phone. His tone was soft, gentle, that voice he used with clients, with strangers. With her, I now realized. He didn't notice me in the hallway. Didn't lower his voice. No, she's back. I don't think she's going to make a big deal out of it. That's just not who she is. I stepped into the doorway. His face paled when he saw me. Actually, I said slowly, you might want to stop assuming who I am. He stammered. Susan, I wasn't. I know, I interrupted. You weren't anything. That's always been the problem. I turned and walked upstairs, closing the door behind me. Not to cry, but to write. That evening, I signed up for the workshop. Name: Susan Green. Topic: The Second Invisible Wife. I didn't know if I would read it aloud, but I knew one thing for certain. I was done being fog. I was ready to be fire. At the writing workshop's first session, Susan hears another woman read a line that stops her cold. I stayed silent for so long, I almost forgot what my voice sounded like. And in that moment, Susan knows. She's not alone. And this time, she will not disappear. The community center smelled faintly of old books and lemon cleaner. The chairs were arranged in a wide circle, sunlight slanting through dusty windows. A woman in her 70s, with silver hair twisted into a bun, sat at the front with a clipboard and a gentle smile. Welcome, she said. You're all here because you have something to say, even if you haven't said it in decades. There were 8 of us, all women, all over 60. And not one of us looked like we'd come to impress anyone. We looked like women who had finally decided we were done apologizing. The facilitator handed out paper and pens. Tonight, she said, you'll write a scene from your life where you disappeared, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, silently. I stared at the blank paper in front of me. The tip of my pen hovered, then moved. He said he loved my stillness. He said I made life easier. So I became quiet. I folded myself into corners. I stopped having opinions. And hobbies. And later, even birthdays. When it was my turn to read aloud, I hesitated. Then something in me whispered, this is the first time someone might actually hear you. So I read it. The circle was silent when I finished. Then one woman reached over and took my hand. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. I had been heard. After the session, I lingered near the door. A woman named Helen, with soft eyes and a necklace made of buttons, approached me. Your piece, she said gently, felt like my reflection. I smiled. Maybe we've all been living parallel stories. She nodded. Maybe it's time we start writing new ones. That night, back home, Brian was watching his favorite true crime show. He glanced up as I came in. How was your class? He asked. It's not a class, I said, hanging up my coat. It's a workshop. He nodded absently. Did you learn anything? I paused. Yes, I learned I'm not the only woman who's ever disappeared without leaving the house. He blinked. What does that mean? I didn't explain. Let him figure it out. Or not. It was no longer my job to make him comfortable. The next day, I received a message in my inbox. Dear Susan, I read your entry on the community blog. I've read 100 essays this month. Yours stayed with me. Would you consider submitting a longer piece for our feature on women rewriting themselves? Editorial team, The Hearth Journal. My hands trembled. Not with fear, but with recognition. They had seen me. That evening, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, looked at myself not to assess wrinkles or pluck at gray hairs, but to see what Margaret might have seen when she called me. Another version of her. Polished, quiet, almost gone. But not quite. I wrote all night. Not carefully. Not kindly. Not trying to protect anyone but myself. I wrote about dinners where I pretended to laugh. About anniversaries where I received gifts that had nothing to do with who I was. About the time I told Brian I wanted to travel alone, and he called it silly. I wrote until my hand cramped and my chest felt light. And when I was done, I titled the piece, Peaceful Women Burn Too. Brian saw me at the kitchen table the next morning. He paused. You've been writing a lot lately. I have, I said. It's the first thing I've done for myself in a very long time. He smiled. Well, I think it's great you've found a little hobby. There it was. Hobby. As if reclaiming my voice was a knitting circle or a crossword puzzle. But I didn't take the bait. Instead, I looked him dead in the eye and said, It's not a hobby, Brian. It's a warning. That night, Helen called me. I read your piece, she whispered. It made me get out of bed and write for the first time in 20 years. I closed my eyes. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because this was what voice felt like. Real, solid, heard. At the next workshop, I read aloud the essay I submitted. The women clapped, not because it was polished, but because it was true. And as I walked to my car afterward, the wind catching my coat and lifting my hair, I felt taller. Not in inches. In presence. I was taking up space again. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel the need to shrink back down. Back home, Susan receives an unexpected letter in the mail. No return address. Inside is a simple card, with one typed sentence. You wrote the story I never had the courage to tell. And it's signed. Margaret. The card was cream-colored, heavy in the hand. Typed in clean serif font, as if every word had been chosen with care and restraint. You wrote the story I never had the courage to tell. Margaret. No other note. No signature flourish. Just that line, as if she had folded a piece of herself and handed it to me in quiet solidarity. I placed the card on my nightstand and sat down. It didn't feel like validation. It felt like a baton being passed. Margaret had whispered the truth to me. Now I was the one saying it aloud for both of us. That weekend, I spoke at a small library gathering titled Voices That Returned. There were 15 women in the room. I told them about fog, about silence that doesn't scream but seeps, about the years I spent thinking a good marriage meant not taking up space. One woman cried. Another whispered, I thought it was just me. It never is. And that's why I kept speaking. Back home, Brian noticed the change. I no longer asked before scheduling things. I stopped waiting for him to offer an opinion about my clothes or my plans. I even painted the guest room teal. He hated teal. When he raised an eyebrow, I simply smiled and said, You've made all the color choices for 20 years. This one's mine. He laughed nervously. You're different lately. I'm visible, I said. He blinked. You've always been here. No, I replied, walking past him. I've always been convenient. Now I'm conscious. That evening, he tried to bring me flowers. A peace offering. But I saw it for what it was, an attempt to calm waves instead of learning to swim. I don't want gestures, Brian, I told him. I want recognition. He looked genuinely confused. You're my wife. Of course I recognize you. Then tell me, I said softly, what's my favorite author? He hesitated. My favorite flower? Silence. Which part of me do you think is the most beautiful physically or otherwise? Still, nothing. I smiled not out of cruelty, but clarity. You don't know me, Brian. You just know the version of me that didn't ask you to. That night, I wrote again. Not an essay. A letter. To myself. Dear Susan, you survived 20 years of being half seen, of being praised for being easy, of shrinking to fit into someone else's definition of love. But you don't live there anymore. You live in rooms you've painted, in words you've spoken, in pages you've published. You're not peaceful. You're powerful. And that's finally enough. I sealed the letter, labeled it, to be opened if I ever feel small again. At the next workshop, I brought my teal-painted journal. I read a new piece, this time not about being invisible, but about returning. I told them how sometimes the most radical thing a woman can do at 63 is walk back into herself. Helen, sitting beside me, said afterward, "I think your writing is changing people." I shook my head. No, I think we're reminding each other who we were before we were told to be quiet. That week, I received another email, this time from a mid-sized publisher. They wanted to compile the workshop stories into a collection, Women Who Reappeared, and asked me to write the introduction. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying, then typed, "Yes, and thank you for seeing me." Back home, Brian had set the table. Candles lit, napkins folded. He gestured to the seat across from him. "I thought we could talk." I sat. He cleared his throat. "I've been reading your work." I blinked. "Really?" He nodded. "I didn't realize how far away you'd gone. Or maybe I didn't want to see it." I waited. He continued. "I don't want to lose you." "I'm not yours to lose," I said gently. "I was never truly yours. Because you never really saw me." He looked down. Then, slowly, "I want to try. Not to fix you, but to meet you." I didn't answer. I just looked at him. Not as his wife, but as a woman who now understood what it meant to be whole, with or without him. Susan stands in front of her old mirror, the same one she once stared into and saw fog. Now she sees color, lines, story, and in her inbox that night, one final email arrives. "I'm hosting a panel on women's voices post-60. We'd love for you to close the event with your essay, Peaceful Women Burn Too. You'd be speaking to 2-0 women." Susan stares at the screen, then quietly whispers to herself, "It's time." The lights were warm against her skin, not harsh, not glaring, just honest. Susan stood behind the podium in a sea of women, rows upon rows of them, from every walk of life. Some wore tailored suits, others loose sweaters. Some had notebooks in hand. Others simply watched, arms crossed, waiting, listening. And she felt it, deep in her bones. They weren't here for polish. They were here for truth. She took a deep breath and began. "My name is Susan Green. I'm 63 years old, and for most of my adult life, I mistook stillness for love. I mistook being agreeable for being appreciated. I mistook not being yelled at for being respected." The room went silent, not the kind of silence that drifts away, but the kind that leans in. My husband called me peaceful, easy, the kind of woman who never made a scene. What he didn't realize was I was already gone. Piece by piece, year by year, I faded out of my own story. A breath, a pause, a scan of the room. The women were still, some with tears, some with fury, some with awe. And then one day someone called me, a woman I had been taught to disregard. She said, "You think you're his partner, but you're just invisible, like I used to be." And those words cracked something open. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't even pack a suitcase. I picked up a pen. Laughter bubbled in a few corners. Quiet, knowing, the kind that only comes from women who've written themselves back to life. I wrote until my hands cramped. I wrote until the truth stopped trembling in my throat. I wrote the story my silence was too afraid to tell. Susan stepped away from the podium now, holding the microphone gently, almost like it was an extension of her hand. "I was never unworthy," I was just unspoken. And now, I speak. The audience erupted not with polite applause, but with raw, thunderous affirmation. Not for perfection, for presence. Backstage, Susan sat in a folding chair, her heels kicked off, a warm paper cup of tea between her hands. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't questioning. She was still, but not the kind of stillness that asks for nothing. The kind that comes from knowing you exist boldly, loudly, deeply. Her phone buzzed. A message from Brian. I watched the live stream. You were radiant. I understand now. If this is goodbye, thank you for showing me what I missed. And if this is something else, I'd like to meet you again, the real you. She stared at the screen for a moment, then pressed a hand to her chest. Not to answer, just to feel. She didn't need to reply right away. She had nothing to prove. For the first time in her life, Susan didn't exist for someone. She simply existed. And that was enough. 1 month later, Susan stood at a local bookstore holding a stack of advanced reader copies. The collection of essays Women Who Reappeared had just gone to print. Her introduction was already quoted in reviews. A young woman, maybe in her 20s, approached and asked softly, "Do you really think it's possible to start over after 60? Susan smiled. "Honey, I didn't start over. I started." The girl beamed. "Can you sign it for my mom?" Susan opened the book, paused, then wrote, "For the woman who thought she was background. You are the story." She looked up. Her reflection in the shop window smiled back. Still silver-haired, still soft-spoken, but no longer invisible. Never again invisible. Susan's journey reminds us that it's never too late to become real again. To speak. To take up space. To write your way back into the story you were always meant to live. If you've ever felt like Susan, like the background in someone else's life, tell me in the comments. Type 2 if this story moved you. Type 7 if you've lived it. And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge with Emma for more powerful stories of women reclaiming their voice after years of silence.